brings. This is a best of three, so one class is not getting played, and Amaz decided to go ahead and pick the Hunter first, and Firebat chose the Warrior. So what do you think, Max? Who is the favorite in this matchup?
Seeing this starting hand, I think Amaz can very well take it because Undertaker Hunters is a very snowbally deck and it's really hard to stop. But having the Fiery War Axe will help Firebat out to survive the first few turns, especially to kill the Undertaker, which is like the #1 priority. He's also thinking about keeping Sludge, which is fine in my opinion. It might be a bit too slow. I
Well,
maybe would ditch it.
well, Sludge Belcher is definitely a card that helps a lot in this matchup to, to get rid of a lot of damage that would otherwise go to your face.
But he gets rid of it, which is a good choice in my opinion.
Yeah, he
And
definitely
he gets
wants to.
rewarded for it. Acolyte and Taskmaster are just super valuable in this matchup.
Yeah, those early game cards for the Warrior are definitely more valuable in the first moments of the game. Eventually, will draw into Sludge Belchers. So, yeah. And right away, we see Fiery War Axe attacking the Undertaker. The best way for Warrior to get rid of it, coins it out even just so he doesn't allow Amaz to play 2 Death Rattle minions in one turn, which certainly could happen.
Yep, coining out the Fire War Axe is definitely the right play. Now he can just armor up, which is totally fine. Or can kill off one spider using Cruel Taskmaster if he doesn't want to be as greedy as I would be in this situation. Which he ends up doing. And he's taking early board control, having Acolyte to follow up.
Strong start by Firebat indeed.
Yeah,
how can Amaz follow up? He draws Mad Scientist for his turn, which is always a nice card to have in the early game for Hunter. Thins out your deck and gets you closer to your drop that you actually need. And it's just good card advantage overall.
Yeah, we're gonna see an Acolyte come out here, which will probably be... Oh, that's a nice card to draw. That makes Acolyte even stronger. So Amaz board will probably be cleared next turn, while Firebat just uses his Taskmaster to get rid of the 1/1 spider. And Amaz is drawing super poorly here, like... You don't want to draw the traps, you want to get them using Mad Scientist, not drawing them.
Exactly, and that's kind of a downside of traps as well. They do not apply any pressure because they are reactive cards. And what Amaz needs in the situation is pressure to get Warrior as low as possible.
Losing the board control, playing Undertaker Hunter in the early turns is one of the worst case scenario, and it almost never happens. But Firebat had a really good counter to Amaz's play, and his draw is kinda meh. But he gets an Animal Companion using tracking. And Misha isn't the worst card to get here, since Firebat doesn't really have a good way to clear it. Maybe getting like a Death Bite from the top would really help, but you sure can't count on it.
Yeah, speaking of weapons, what strikes me as interesting is that Firebat actually decides to play Gorehowl in his deck. What do you think of that? Isn't it a little bit too slow in the current metagame?
I would agree with you, but also maybe he tried to make his deck a bit better against other control decks like Pally Control or something, where Gorehowl really shines. But I think running double Fire War Axe and double Deathbite is just the better option. Oh, he gets a Black Knight, which might come in handy, we're not sure yet. But at least he got some extra HP from Shield Block. And Amaz keeps drawing poorly, like Web Spinner turn 5, that's really not what you want to see.
Yeah, the Black Knight in this matchup might actually be useful. Even though Misha might die before the Black Knight sees play, there's still Houndmasters in the Hunter's deck, so Black Knight might...
What do you think about Black Knight and Warrior, though? Do you think it's a niche card like Gorehowl? Maybe he tagged his deck too much against other control decks, and he's just gonna lose the race anyway, even though Amaz had a really bad start.
Yeah, it's not a card that helps you against aggressive decks, that's for sure.
Exactly.
And we will see if that eventually comes back to bite him.
Like he's already on 15, and now he has to decide if he just goes for a low thap, which pretty much does nothing in this situation, or if he goes for a Faceless onto the Misha, which is also not doing much, or if he hopes for a Shield Slam or an Execute, getting it from the Shield Block, which would be like the only good out. I guess he could also get a Fiery War Axe, his second one, but that's like 5 cards.
In my
He probably
opinion,
has to go for it anyway.
attacking with Acolytes first is the better option because you might draw into something that's better with the mana he has, instead of drawing it with shield block and already using up 3 of his mana. Oh, he decides to play the Faceless for a taunt, which is a good option, but why wouldn't you attack with Acolytes first? What are you afraid of? Like, the Acolytes are not going to be useful anymore.
I think it's just
draw
so
into something
sad
good.
sending Acolytes into a Misha, which survives then. So I actually agree with this play because it preserves the life pool the best way. But it also opens up Amaz to get 1 card of Web Spinner, 1 beast, and he also can get a secret using Mad Scientist. So I think it was a questionable play, but it was reasonable in my opinion. And Amaz gets the kill. He could actually use here just to keep applying pressure, kill command hero power, and just go for face. Doesn't seem like a bad option in my opinion, especially because he has a snake trap down. And right now Firebat does not have any kind of removal for it. Gets a Timberwolf from Web Spinner.
So
That's
maybe the
nice.
reason why Firebat decided not to attack the Misha is so he could Black Knight next turn, because how the board looked like it was the attack with the 2 minions that ran into the Misha that Firebat had was kind of
But
obvious.
he can't play the value game here. Like, this is not a game you can play for value. You need to preserve your life total. That's the most important thing against Undertaker Hunter, which is probably not even running high mains. Like, he's on 4 HP.
And also if he chooses to play the Black Knight now, he cannot armor up even.
Exactly.
So that's also like downside.
He has to go for the shield block here.
Oh, that was a sick top deck.
That's a perfect card, yep.
That was a sick top deck right there. That's exactly what Firebat needed after shield block. Use his 2 remaining mana to armor up.
Here. Yep. That kind of brings him back into the game. He draws 2 cards and he can armor up. He also gets the Sludge Belcher, which is probably the best card against Hunter. Which, maybe it's probably the best, or like one of the best cards in the game right now. Because it's just such a good card.
Yeah, in my opinion, Sludge Belcher, the best card out of Naxxramas, even before low tap.
Almost lethal. 1 damage off lethal, guys. 1 damage off.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that Leroy top deck.
Do you even play the Leroy now? What would you say?
I would just Hero Power.
I mean,
maybe you can actually Leroy here just to get the damage done because you're afraid of taunt. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's true.
Amaz knows the warrior does run Sludge Belcher. He wants to attack with the Leroy before it cannot.
And some even run Sunwalker. I think I've seen KitKats run Sunwalker, which is a really cock block for Undertaker Hunter. So what do you do here now?
Firebat knows this trap is Snake Trap, right? Or it could actually also be Freezing Trap.
No, he attacked the face. It is. He knows it's Snake
Trap. Yeah, but the Explosive Trap triggered before, right?
Oh, okay.
Did it resolve before? I don't remember which trap he played first. So depending on which trap he played first, the Snake Trap or the Explosive Trap, Firebat might or might not know that it is a Snake Trap.
Well, he checks for it anyway, so his play now has to be Sludge Belcher into armor up. It's no question about it.
Yeah.
Timberwolf from Web Spinner will actually be really helpful now. It will clear off the sludge, and maybe he can even find lethal. Okay, low tap. That's not too bad. That will really block Firebat's next turn. He won't be able to draw using Slam. So his only option is find another taunt, pretty much.
And also the low tap is just such a big threat on the board. The only threat that's bigger is Savannah high main.
He decides to not attack here, or is he actually... Nope, he decides not to attack. That's interesting. Could you have played the Timberwolf here? You could have played the Timberwolf with Sludge, but you don't have to, I guess.
I mean, this way he sets up lethal for next turn, so he can kill the Sludge Belcher with the low tap, and then the one of the snakes will kill the slime, and the other snake will be lethal along with hero power. And this is exactly what Amaz is going for.
Well,
and this is going to be game 1 for Amaz. 1-0 in the lead.
Yep, After having a really bad start, he still takes the game. Because Firebat drew into 3 useless cards, Gohol, Black Knight and Harrison Jones.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you can say that the deck building choice of Firebat punished him kind of, because Gorhau
one playing the same deck, so he decides to go for Druid. I would have actually been tempted to just go for a Hunter Mirror.
Yeah, we all know that Hunter is like the strongest class right now, so I am actually a little bit surprised that Firebat chose to not go for the Hunter. But we will see if it will work out. It seems to be a ramp Druid from what we see in his hand.
Running a BGH, okay.
Yeah, this was definitely not going to be a card that's useful unless he Houndmasters the high main.
Double BGH!
Wow.
Okay. BGH, boys! I see.
This seems to be like kind of a counter pick against hand block, if you ask me. Other than that, I don't know why you would choose a deck building strategy like this. We would see. I mean, the BGHs are not going to be that good, except for trading animal companions, I guess.
They are going to eat up Eaglehorn, both charges. That's all they will accomplish.
Yeah.
Choosing a deck that runs double BGH against Hunter is kind of questionable, but finds a really good top deck here in Innervate if he decides to go for it. Just drops this engine.
Yeah, playing the Innervate for the Ancient of Lore next turn smoothens his curve a little bit, so he can have turn 4 Ancient of Lore and turn 6 Sunwalker.
That is correct.
That's probably his game plan right now.
Amaz's hand is pretty clunky. He has 2 Buzzards, 2 Undertakers and Unleash, like a lot of useless cards right now. I can imagine him dropping just 2 Undertakers here, but he could also just Hero Power. Okay.
Interesting that he decides not to go for the Undertakers, because what is Druid going to do against them?
Firebat uses his turn to Hero Power and drop BGH instead of innovating Elora, and I think that's better because you really want to kill off the Leok. No point in leaving it on the board.
Yeah, especially if you have the option to kill any beast on the board, so he doesn't have a good Houndmaster, then you should probably do it.
I've seen a lot of those hunters running 1 Houndmaster, so you might not be as afraid of it. Oh, finds the second Eaglehorn bow. That's perfect to kill off the BGH here. He will still have a hard time dealing with Sunwalker into Agent of Lore next turn. So this might actually... Oh, and that's the Agent of War. That might actually work out for Firebat here.
Yeah, and Amaz doesn't seem to have anything like Hunter's Mark or Deadly Shot available right now, so those big taunters are definitely going to be a very big roadblock.
No kill command, no Hunter's Mark, no Deadly Shot, and he won't see more than 2 minions for his Buzzard Unleash combo, which he might end up going for Buzzard Unleash next turn anyway if he has to.
The Freezing Trap usually would be useful against big taunters like this, but Force of Nature counters that one perfectly.
Yeah, well played by Firebat, realizing this is Freezing Trap and abusing it as much as possible.
And this also allows Firebat to stay aggressive with his big minions and getting in the lead when it comes to life total right now. And Amaz, Explosive Trap,
not what you want to see here.
Draw.
Yep. Has to go for Buzzard now.
Will we even see an Unleash for 1 Hound to draw 2 cards?
Hound
He
Creeper.
drew the Creeper.
That's fine.
He drew the Creeper, yeah.
It still doesn't get rid of the Divine Shield, because he doesn't run Boars, so it's not gonna solve this problem. Gets the Hunter's Mark, but the Divine Shield is just too strong in this situation. He's just gonna go for Lore.
Yeah, Like I don't know if isn't he afraid of the buzzards a little bit? Is he gonna trade them?
I'm pretty sure he's gonna innovate the hero power here. Just to get rid of them. Yep.
It's a gun for the trend.
It would have preserved one life.
Yeah, I mean he could have gone for the trend, but you actually want to keep that trend in case your opponent plays another secret, so you have something to run into another freezing trap. So it's actually really good to keep that trend in your hand.
Mars has the option of double unleash now, but after those buzzards are gone, that's just a desperate play. We might see the Hunter's Mark here.
True, but Firebat will be happy to see that Hunter's Mark, considering he has two Ancient of Wars in hand.
Goes for the unleash, which is the right play in my opinion, and just like pushes for damage somehow. Next turn he will face probably an Ancient of War here. Maybe even a Mark of the Nature's Ancient of Lore. Decides to maybe go for heal here. He's not going to draw cards. There's no card that makes the situation any better. He just has to get up some taunts. And he can even use the tree end to check the trap.
Yeah, because he definitely wants to attack with this Ancient of Lore. He does not want to like leave it behind on the board doing nothing. So this is why he considers to play the trend here. After he plays the trend, he can still innervate out an Ancient of War. So that's actually an okay
perfect.
play.
Has a lot of options here. He really wants to clear the board just to get at least get the beasts off the board. If those 1/1 spiders live, that's not as big of a deal, but getting the beasts off to deny kill commands and Houndmasters is actually really huge. Because you always need to be afraid of it.
I mean, there are two beasts on the board at the moment, so let's see if he actually wants to spend his resources to deal with those. I would assume no.
Yeah. Checks for the trap. He had to check, because if this would have been a second freezing, it could have messed up his game plan.
Decides to go
for double taunt.
Yeah, double taunt is double taunt is definitely better than one taunt that might just get Hunter's Marked again, even though it's unlikely because he just played a Hunter's Mark.
Decides to innovate the hero power, just to do one more damage and get one more HP. I guess that's fine in a situation like this.
I mean, how much health is Firebat on? I don't quite see it. 10. Yeah, so he's really afraid of double kill command, I guess. He was at 10, so that's why he innovated.
Well, double kill command hero power would still kill him, so
I'm
sure that's not just reasoning. It might just be that now the hunter is on 7, so just purely the Ancient of Lore is now able to kill him. But it's not looking that great for Amaz. He doesn't have an out. There are no high mains in his deck. He went through one Hunter's Mark and double buzzard. So the best play is to Houndmaster one of his beasts and trade off at least something. Like I'm imagining an Unleash Houndmaster here just to kill off this Ancient of Lore, because it's just it's just so much attack.
There's no way he has to kill off the Ancient of Lore. He has no way of defending himself against it.
Exactly. See what he ends up Houndmastering. Not does it actually matter. He could use it on a Hound and would not lose his spider, but then he doesn't get the tokens. So he has to make up his mind here.
Especially because the rope starts burning.
Pressure.
We've seen time and time again, whenever that rope hits the board, people get under pressure and might do misplays.
Salt boys. Rope boys into salt boys. Reynard can sing a song about it.
Exactly.
Drops the web spinner instead of using zero power, that's fine. Oh, Savage Roar, and
that's gonna be lethal.
Ends the game.
Oh, decides to go for a little bit of BM, or doesn't he see it?
I'm sure he sees it. Or is it actually... It is lethal, yeah. Now it's...
Double lethal.
So he takes
I
the
guess
game.
he decided. Yeah, I guess he didn't want to show him the Savage Roar because why give him the additional information? Some ramp druids don't run the combo, some do.
That is a good point. That lock players like Thais or Amaz or maybe even Masan, just predicting his group very well, could actually win him this and the next game. But I can see Amaz going priest here just because he's seen like double BGH and all those big guys. And priest, like Death Rattle Priest, can actually out-tempo that deck. And he goes for it. Okay. In my opinion, that was the correct choice.
We actually don't know if Amaz runs Death Rattle Priest, do we?
Well, is there a different priest, like Control Priest?
Well, there's
like
there's two. I've seen two iterations of Death Rattle Priest. A fast one, a little bit slower one, and also the classic Control Priest. It's still going around sometimes, and I'm not sure which one Masan picked up for this one. But judging from the Sludge Belcher, it might have been... Amaz, sorry. But judging from the Sludge Belcher, it might be a Death Rattle Priest. A little bit slower one, maybe. Who knows?
Super strong opening here, going for turn 1 Senjin into turn 2 Wild Growth, into turn 3 Senjin. That is trouble. That is indeed trouble.
That's trouble indeed. Turn to Wild Growth, always a devastating play in those slower matchups. Really gives the Druid an edge.
The Occultist is a fine play here. And it looks like Amaz is not playing a Death Rattle Priest, seeing Pyromancer and Orkanai and Thoughtsteel. Those are kind of indicators for a non-Undertaker-based priest deck, in my opinion.
Yeah, I used Pyromancer in Death Rattle Priest already, so that's actually also a card you can play in it.
Firebat is curving out super well here. Having this insane opening followed up by a Druid of the Claw next turn. And we see a Shadow Madness top deck. That is actually a really good card to draw in this situation. You might not use it right now, but it will come in handy for sure. Loathap, okay. That changes up stuff. So do you Loathap here, Ikop? Or do you just go for a Druid of the Claw taunt or charge?
Well, the Loathap might potentially prevent plays like Shadow Madness or Holy Nova, which Firebat might be even more afraid of, or something like that. Like, it definitely helps out a lot to disrupt Amaz and force him to play something he might not want.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So now we see the Sludge Belcher, which is not a big problem to deal with for Firebat right now. And he even gets an Innervate, which might open him up for an Ancient of Lore. Decides to Hero Power the Dark Cultist, leaving up a really strong board that currently Amaz does not have an answer to.
Amaz definitely needs cards like Shadow Word Death in this matchup, but there's only this many Shadow Word Deaths and that many big taunters that,
Gets a Holy Nova here.
Firebat definitely has way more threats than Amaz can handle. So Amaz had to kind of overrun the Druid, but failed to do so thanks to Innervate and Wild Growth.
Yeah. Firebat got all the tempo cards, 2 Innervates and 1 Wild Growth, opening this game totally up for him. And now Amaz is in the backseat, and it's not looking too good for him. He needs to find something here.
Orkanai would be a good draw if to combine it with Circle of Healing and his Hero Power to clear the board.
That's actually huge. Swipe and Black Knight here. I think I would have been tempted to swipe just because for the fact that there are way bigger taunts in this deck. So Black Knight is always gonna find a bigger target than a 4/4. But decides to drop the Dark Cultist here, which is okay as well in my opinion. I would have been tempted to swipe, honestly.
Oh, but now Amaz is gonna have a sick play.
Yeah, Shadow Madness.
It's gonna be
Pyromancer Shadow Madness.
Pyromancer Shadow Madness? Yeah, that's also fine. Yeah, I was expecting a swipe Shadow Madness.
Swipe Shadow Madness to get rid of to completely clear the board. Yeah, maybe that's even stronger.
Yeah, I mean, the Shadow Madness has become increased. Like the popularity of Shadow Madness with the release of Naxxramas has increased in popularity, definitely in a big way, because of all those Death Rattle minions you can take control of and get additional benefits out of your Shadow Madness. Definitely a card that has improved by a lot.
Decides to go for the Pyromancer swipe play here, like Eco predicted, which is fine.
I was actually expecting swipe into Shadow Madness to get rid of Sludge Belcher as well, and getting a slime for himself.
He decides that his Shadow Madness might be... I think there's no better target than a Sludge Belcher to Shadow Madness, right? So
yeah, exactly. Especially in this matchup. So I don't really understand that play.
Well, you're not the king of Priest Ecop, so...
Yeah, I should just cower in awe.
You did get reasonably high on ladder using Priest, right? The last few days.
Yeah, definitely. Priest is a very strong choice in a hunt game. It counters the hunter very well, and is also very strong on its own against other classes as well.
He gets another Ancient of Lore, which is huge.
Death Rattle Priest is a little bit weaker. I mean, the Death Rattle Priest is a little bit weaker against those slower decks, though, like Handlock and Ramp Shoot, as you can see here.
Wait, is it lethal? Nope, it's not. Okay, so he just clears the board using Savage Roar. Leaves Amaz in a really bad position. No answer to scenarios.
Yep. Seems to be a losing battle for Amaz. He's fighting to stay in it, but in the end, all the threats that Firebat still has in his hand will eventually overwhelm him.
So now he used his Shadow Madness to kill off 2 Treants summoned from scenarios. Definitely not the best use of Shadow Madness, and I think you might have pointed out a better play earlier. I have to agree. So you could put him down to 1 here, but there's no reason for it. Just gonna go with the safe play. Interesting choice to use Wrath for 1 damage in this situation. I might have been tempted to just play an Ancient of Lore here, instead of doing...
I mean, at this point it doesn't really matter, so... Yeah, I mean... Firebat is definitely going to take this game. There's like no way Amaz can come back from this. Shadow of Death kind of stalls the game out a little longer. I mean, he stays alive if he heals himself.
He really would have liked to see that Shadow of Death earlier. Really would have liked it.
Well, technically there was only the Lothab as a target, right? So...
Well, Scenarios has been on the board for like 3 turns.
Oh yeah.
But now that paved the way for Ancient of War, and that might actually just finish the game here.
Cabal Shadow Priest planning on stalling the game out a little bit longer, grabbing that taunt. Oh, but that taunt can get Black Knighted.
Yeah, and you also had 2 keepers.
The keeper is gonna finish the game, dealing the remaining 2 damage that Firebat needs, and Firebat wins against Amaz 2-1. Well played by Firebat.
Definitely a great